Hello, welcome to today's form line lesson. Today we are going to be drawing a raven head design. Now before we start, there are some things that we have to understand about what it is we're drawing. For our raven head design, we're going to have a straight beak coming out across from our eye. We're going to have a crest across the top of the head because ravens have hairstyles. I'm going to have the jaw coming down and out. We need to know all of this before we start so that we know where we're drawing our form line ovoid, the first thing that we're going to draw. Because where you draw it and how you draw it is going to affect how the design comes out. So, my form line ovoid is going to be kind of towards the middle of the page a little bit on this side, on this way, going up and down towards the middle. And it's going to be a little bit off to the left of my paper because I want my raven to look that way. So if my ovoid is back here, I have room up here for my beak. Very important. All right, so I will draw my ovoid, and I'm going to draw my ovoid at a slight angle so I can show the mouth being open, which you'll see after. Okay, and I want my ovoid to be big enough to show an eye, and I want it to be long enough that I could have a long enough beak for my raven. If you're still uncomfortable drawing ovoids, don't hesitate to use the guidelines. They really do help. And remember, we need to make this a form line ovoid. So we're going to have this be thicker here at the top, turning in to be narrow on the sides and bottom. Okay, now we have our form line ovoid. We can work on our beak, and just like before, when we started drawing form line, we're going to draw a U shape coming out off the side of our ovoid. So I'm going to come right off the bottom here, straight out, following the line of the ovoid. Okay. Now I don't want my U shape to be longer than my ovoid, otherwise the beak looks too heavy. Okay, and then my top line is going to come out, following my line a little bit here, and then when I get out towards the end, you'll notice that it's narrower here on the end of where my U shape is than where it comes off of the ovoid. Okay, I'm going to take and I'm going to curve my line down and come to a point because the raven has a straight pointy beak. Okay, we want this to be a form line U shape. So we'll draw in our inside edge of our line here, our U shape. Remember to keep your legs of your U shape as even as possible. Okay. Notice how the U shape comes down and it touches and connects up to the form line ovoid in just narrow places, real small connecting place. Okay. Once we've done that, we can work on our jaw coming down and out, and this is where we're going to show the mouth being open. So we're going to come to the back of our ovoid, closest to the edge of the paper, and we're going to draw our line coming down. parallel to the edge of the paper, just a little ways. We don't want to go too far down. Okay, so just a little ways down below the bottom corner of your ovoid, and then out, again, parallel to the edge of the paper, towards the end of where the beak would be here. Okay, so right along the edge there. Now we're making this form line, so we'll come back in, and we'll draw our from our inside line down and out. And when we get out at the end, we can curve our line down, just like that. And we can round off our back corners. Outside corner, inside corner. Okay. Now ravens are famous for having a big mouth. This is really big, so we're going to make it a little bit smaller and stronger by putting in a dividing line between the mouth and the cheek. So round about the middle of our ovoid, we're going to come in, we're going to curve down to a point, and we're going to do the same thing from the inside edge, round, down, and to a point, like that. Now we need to open up our connecting lines from our ovoid down to the jaw, and we will just take and erase this line here from the outside edge of our form line ovoid between these lines, and also here in the cheek. We'll go ahead and erase that too. Okay. Now we need to draw the crest. That's going to be along the top edge of the raven there. Give him his little hairdo. So we'll draw our U shape coming up. It doesn't need to be very big. Try to make it parallel to the top of your ovoid. And it doesn't go out too far. We want the U shape to start here, right before your beak starts. And we're going to take and curve our line up into our top line, like so. And we're going to make this a form line U shape again. Drawing our top line, then coming down and to a point, back, and down and to a point on the front. Okay. Now this is our primary form line for our design. Now we need to fill in the negative space here in the crest, the eye, the cheek, the beak, and in the mouth. So let's start with the eye, which is going to make our design look more alive. Draw an ovoid in here. This ovoid doesn't need to be very big, like that. And then we're going to put a fine line around this, modified fine line, so that it looks like an eye. So I want my line to come drooping out towards the middle of my ovoid there, and then straight in, curving down at the last moment. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other end of the eye, drooping down to about the middle of our floating ovoid, straight back, and then dropping down and around the last second. And there's our eye. We're going to do a U-shape, secondary U-shape up here. Draw our line in. With a narrow space, negative space between our primary and our secondary. Now I'm going to just make this simple and make it a split view. So we're going to draw a trigon. So we're going to come from right about the middle of our U shape, near the top, not all the way to the top, but near the top, coming down and then curving out and coming to a point on one side, and then doing the same thing on the other side, down, out, and to a point, like that. Okay. Then we can draw in our beak. For this one, we're going to do a form line secondary U shape, down both sides, trying to keep this line as even as we can all the way around. So make it our form line U shape. Notice that it does not need to be as thick as our primary form line. Take our legs down, make sure your legs are even, and come to a point touching onto our ovoid. And we'll fill in this space here with another trigon. So from about the middle of our U shape, we're going to take and bring our line down, and curve it out until it comes onto the ovoid, and do the same thing on the other side, down, turning out to a point there. Now we're going to do our cheek, and for this cheek we're going to bring our line down, curving it out. We're going to come to a point just here. Okay, and we're going to make this a form line U shape in here as well. We come to the back, make our legs as even as we can. Going to a point. And we're going to fill in this space here with our trigon, down, and curving out. And then for our tongue, we're going to draw a modified U shape. So we're putting our U shape in here, coming down and ending in the back, up. And just before you get to the end of the mouth, we'll drop our line down, curving it out. Now we're going to modify the end of this U shape here. So we'll draw in our top and back line here. And then when we come out, we're going to make the tip of the tongue a little bit heavier, coming to a point. Okay, just like so. This is our raven design. Until action, thank you for joining me. Have a good day.